All right, this is, I think, a very important video. It's how I loosen up the biggest joints in the body. I do this every day. I do this in my driveway. I just find the stretching therapeutic. But certainly before I squat and bench and anything else where I'm loading up a barbell. So how do you loosen up your hips? Well, if you get down in a full squat position, and the key is, I think, this may sound counterintuitive, as comfortable as possible. In other words, we don't want any weird torques on the joints, the bones. So what I'm doing here is I'm standing with my feet nearly parallel, which is actually uncomfortable for me, and I'm clenching my butt cheeks as tight as I can. And notice how my feet just rotate out. They just go where they go. And look at the angle. So when my butt cheeks are clenched, that's the natural position for my feet. Now, when you squat down and you're sitting all the way down in the hole, and things are loosened up, if I just wake up, I can't get nearly as deep, but if I just sit there and slowly relax, things stretch a little bit, and I can get pretty quickly these days to where my hamstrings touch my calves. So as far down as I can physically go until body parts touch and prevent me from going any farther. So my ankles are in full flexion. My knees, look at the angle on the knees, and even the hips are at a severe angle. There's a side shot later on in this, and you'll see. So I will just sit down and hold this position, and it loosens up the ankles, the knees, and I'm just doing a very slight bounce. But the key thing is the foot position. How do you find the right foot position? So the first method that I've learned over the years is the clenched buttock technique, if you will. And you see how far out my toes are pointed here, and that's a little bit too far, so I'm making an adjustment here. And I can get deepest in the hole without feeling any strain anywhere, really. No adductors pulling, nothing on the inside of my thighs pulling, until there's the physical connection between the hamstrings and the calves. And the way I stand up is I just push my feet through the floor. Now I try to get them a little bit closer, but I can't. That's it. That's my morphology. That's how my body is built. So I must have, and I'll never know the autopsy, but after I'm dead, gone, whoever cuts me open can check that. I bet my hip sockets are angled up pretty moderately. Now there's actually another way to do it. So I'm going to turn around here, and I'm going to raise my lower leg 90 degrees to my upper leg, sort of a hamstring curl, if you will. And notice the external rotation goes 3 to 5 degrees, but the internally, I can really turn that hip internally. That's because I think of the socket position. If I had to guess, that's what's going on there. Both legs do the same thing. So I cannot externally rotate my lower leg much, but I can internally rotate it until it hits the other leg. And notice that points, if you're looking from the front, that points the thigh out and points the knees out if you were to squat down. So that's my morphology. You've got to find your morphology. Everybody's got different hip structures. And it's your hip structure that will determine the way your feet are pointed when you're in a squat position. Typically, from my experience. I'm talking to other people in the gym who have pretty different foot placings than I do. But I've known a lot of people who point their toes out pretty well, and that's how they get the deepest. And again, I'm not going for this is not for powerlifting. This is for general strength, day-to-day, realistic, daily strength. So you need your feet to be in a position where you're not putting weird torques, on the biggest socket in the body. So here's a straight shot, kind of a long shot, of me sitting in the hole, and there's, this is my natural, that's it. So when you see me squatting under the barbell, I'm pretty close, if not exactly in that foot position. I'm pretty close to that foot position. I try to get my heels a little bit wider for a little bit of leverage. I do want to move a little bit of weight, but that's where it's comfortable, so it doesn't deviate from that much. And I'll do some workouts where that's my stance. I will force myself to have the heels pretty close together. But if I'm kneeling down, and I want to bend over and pick something up, or kneel down and pick something up, I should say, that's how I go down. And I push my midfoot almost like right under my arches through the floor to stand up. And that's the position that I want to make strong and powerful. I think that's the best for long-term health. So you're not bending over, you're not using your back, you're not curling your back up, you're not extending your lower back at all. I have a strong low back, it's a flat low back. I think I do a side shot of this. It might be at the end. All right, so that's now, and I'll sit there in that position for 3 cycles of 5 minutes if I feel like I just find it kind of mentally therapeutic just to sit there and stretch all that out and make that feel good. So now, the second biggest joints in the body, the shoulders. I've mentioned this. I've got a little bit of arthritis in the shoulders. It doesn't bother me really at all because I had both my AC joints cleaning out from bouncing weights off my chest when I was in my youth. Actually, I was older than that. But so I do a lot of these shoulder rotations with a band. Do at least 2 sets, one with sort of a looser, tension on the band. One I'll grip it a little closer and stretch it so it's got more tension. And then I like to kind of take different planes and do pushing and pulling movements, mostly pulling movements from overhead down, from in front, a lot of band pull aparts. And then those are I'm sort of going up, and that works the traps a little bit of the shoulders. So again, just 30, 45 seconds of that. And, walk around for a minute, and then do a second set, if you will. But I will grip the band closer, my hands closer together before I grip it, so it creates a lot more tension. So one kind of easy, kind of breaking the ice, getting things heated up a little bit, synovial fluid, whatever's in there. I don't know the structure of the shoulder, actually. Just tell you how it feels, how it works for me. And what might help you, different things. You've got to learn your body, and I might do a video on that, but these are things that over the years have really helped me, and I've learned them from other people that I respect. So now you might be able to tell the band's a lot tighter. So I'm really, really kind of working that joint, and that is a tremendous help. So this I'll do every day, 7 days a week, and I lift 3.5 to 4. So it's just, again, I'll be 55 in March. I'm overweight, so I'll get to my diet later. But the movement that I do helps me mentally and keeps me in relative shape, again, relative to my age and my body type, my size, my affinity for eating deliciousness. So that's the first grip, kind of there, and then you see me move my hands in, and it creates a lot more tension. So there you go. So that does the shoulders. And now I'll show you kind of one more front and side shot of that in the whole stretching squat position, which is, I think, super important. Love to start my day physically with just sitting like this. Sitting there, 5 minutes. I'll do it for 5 minutes. And look, all the way down. Hamstrings touching calves. I couldn't do that for a few months until I made this part of my daily routine. It just took a little while to open things up, and now I have much more flexibility than I've had. I think flexibility and mobility are more important than strength at this stage of the game. I guess it depends on what your deficiencies are. As long as you have, minimal functional strength, mobility and flexibility are just absolutely super important. So this is a daily routine. And again, in 15 minutes, you can be completely stretched out for the day. Sometimes I'll actually squat in the middle of the day and just loosen up one more time. Everything. Ankles and hips especially. The knees, I've never had a problem with my knees. Always had pretty lucky in that I haven't tweaked my knees somehow with the crappy technique that I used decades ago. All right, so here's a side shot. And you'll see hamstring touching the calf. That's as low as I can go. You can see the hip below the knee. So that's way down there. And you can kind of see where the bar would be on my back on a squat, right over my midfoot. That's just how I'm made. So there you go. So that's, 10 minutes worth of warming up, sort of finding what works and warming up and starting your day that way and your workout that way. So thanks for checking in. Old Guy Lifts, Paul here. I will see you next time. Subscribe, hit the like button. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time.